Hythloday. Yeah, friendship. I wouldn't really call it friendship, but it's nothing personal. I don't tend to call these relationships friendships. I would call them intellectual acquaintances in which we're on friendly terms. Now, I hold no grudges against you, but the fact of the matter is, the situation with our conversation or potential conversations as it stands right now is that you insist that I don't get to make the queries. Now, you can talk all you want about, oh, it was a discussion about who would go next, but you're the only one that went next. The only questions you would uh, accept me, or the only statements rather, you would accept me making were in reply to your series of questions, which you kept insisting that you lead after agreeing that we would go back and forth, after being born into a planet where by now certainly you know that fairness in conversation involves going back and forth. Now, you hitching on to the suicidal optimist video is fine with me. If you want to come play with the trolls, by all means. But if you think you can hitch yourself to that as part of this intellectual conversation, this actual intelligent conversation that we were trying to have, then you are only going to make a fool of yourself, okay? Your whole line of conversation with me is simply going to be subsumed on the fields of troll battle. All right, and I don't mind if that's where you best fit. By all means, join on that field. But for you to reach to that, I mean, I have been very open. Yes, I may be drinking before I make a video. On stickam, I might be drinking during a video. You know, uh, I drank coffee most of the 4 hours I was in that stickam room, but I did have one scotch. And maybe it was showing, or maybe Gary was just giving me a hard time. I also had sinuses and stuff all day and was talking really sinusy, and he could have been misapprehending that. It really doesn't matter to me, you see, because one, whether I drink too much or not is certainly an important thing in my life. But one thing I am good at is it doesn't change my position. Okay. It is not behind any of the comments that confused you. That is your own sensitive emotions. I make videos during the day, I make them in the night. You're trying to explain to yourself these inexplicable things. Well, I'll explain it to you. My frustration with you is now clear what the source of it has been, is that your resistance to follow uh, the paths that I weave through the argument and insisting only on your own is not just a matter of your own obstinate nature that you will only think of one line of reasoning and you'll tend to come back to that just habitually, but you consciously protect that fact. You consciously protect that you will not be taken on anybody else's line of inquiries. Okay, I don't consider that intellectually friendly or honest at all. All right? And I've told you also in the other video, I don't care if you cuss or not. All right? To me, that is just a superficial. That's like if I cared whether you talked with an English accent or what kind of English accent. Okay, I don't care about that. All right. Now, I try to accommodate that you don't want to hear it and stuff out of my own attempt to be intellectually friendly and diplomatic. But it really doesn't matter. What matters to me are your actions. Okay, and the fact that you will not allow me to initiate a line of questioning that you answer step by step, to me, that is a problem. Whatever the reason for it, that is a problem. Now, I have my speculation as to why it would be, and I think you don't want to be pinned down, and you viewed the whole thing as a pinning down or not. Again, that's not much in accord with your idea of, oh, well, we're being friends about this. I don't want to have a private conversation because you see, if I'd had a private conversation with you, I would have wasted that time. You understand? Because the hour was when it was just between you and us. That was wasted. We didn't get anywhere. Okay, that's why I wanted to open to the public debate, and there is a chance that it will serve some purpose in this public debate. Other people can both witness and take part. Okay, so I don't see the benefit. I don't have to clear anything up with you. Okay, I don't at all. If you want to have this discussion and open and display what you understand, what you don't understand, what you disagree with, what you agree with, then you could do that. There is absolutely nothing better about going into Stickum and have wasted that time I would be much more angry about the whole thing if I'd gone in to stickam and wasted time the same way we did in public. Maybe it was being in public with other people there that caused you to be so defensive and scared to let me have some of the time to initiate lines of questioning, okay? For me to try my abilities at clarifying the subject through conversation, live conversation with you. Maybe that made you more sensitive. Maybe you'd be more comfortable one-on-one. By all means, go down to the cafe, have a one-on-one conversation if that's the kind of conversation you want to have. This is YouTube. This is an open conversation. Okay? If you cannot treat the conversation the same way privately and publicly, then go have the private conversations with whomever is willing to have them. Okay? I'm not going to do that with you. There's a decent chance I'm not having public conversations with you. And you are very confused about this. This doesn't mean I think you're a bad person, or I don't feel that I'm on friendly terms with you, or I don't value that you're probably adding something to society, or any of the rest. It's just a matter of, for it to be worth my time to spend time with someone, I expect a certain amount of intellectual honesty. And I'm pretty tolerant with what counts as intellectually honest. People can behave as though they're, trying to escape the question, and I know that maybe that's just how they take the question, how they see what's going on makes them move into these positions where they're darting out from underneath the question. But in your case, we had the stickam room, and you were specifically, consciously avoiding answering my questions. Specifically, you would not let me have them. It was not subtle. It was very conscious. You consciously stated that. And when I tried to state my question anyway, you're like, oh, you're just going to ignore what I said? Well, you're not the boss of me. I'm not ignoring what you said. I'm trying to take my part of the hour for me to initiate the questions. All right? It's not ignoring what you said. That's paying attention to what you said when you said you'd agree to that. A fair conversation would have obviously required that, but we were explicit at the start. Okay? And you didn't say anything about that in your video. Do you regret doing that? Do you deny it? Seems like you deny it because you're just going, oh, well, it was just a struggle and we didn't know what was going on. No, it was very conscious. We spent 10 minutes at the beginning, or maybe 15, saying we go back and forth, and then you immediately didn't do that at once, without one time. Okay? Not even once. Okay, so this is not a confusing or subtle or, oh, it's miscommunication. This is how you intend to communicate. All right? And if you want to go and say, oh, well, maybe the reason Piro wants to have his say is because he drinks, fine. I don't care. I mean, and all of the Puritans that want to react to this kind of thing, fine. I've made an open thing about my philosophy of intoxication, my philosophy of making YouTube videos, how I'll make them at any time, how I will be in any state of mind that I happen to be in when I want to make them. And frankly, I know that there's some people that go, oh, well, then he's incredible. Fine, I don't care. I don't really want to even talk to those people, let alone have their particular respect. And if people want to bring that subject up, it has been brought up to me. There was a guy that I did respect who was saying that, and he was very adamant. He was like, well, declare and tell me if you were, and this and that. And I'm like, no, you should take it from the video. If it seems bullshit, it's bullshit. If it seems sane, it's sane. If it's, cause because I'm drinking or not drinking, that's just for you to take, because I don't want you to say, oh, Piro's an authority and he's sober, and so, oh, it's a good idea. No, you should be able to look at the ideas in a given video and decide what you think about them. And I'm open to this discussion about intoxication because it's an interesting philosophical subject for me. But you seem desperate. If that's where you're going to go, and you can't even admit you wouldn't let me have a say. You wouldn't let me have a question. You're not going to acknowledge that? Then forget it. There's nothing to talk about. Acknowledge that you consciously insisted that I could not initiate questions. That's what makes me upset about the stickam conversation that we had. You can acknowledge it. You can't ignore it. Okay? You can't ignore it. And if you deny it, well, then I just don't get you. You were there. You know that you did. It wasn't subtle at all.